Well, hey, good morning, and welcome to the BlueGamer Bluecast morning show. I'm your host, Adam Blue. Excuse me, it's morning. Professional video game enjoyer for over 30 years, so I have a lot to talk about. And especially, today, morning, Ultronimus. Today we've got a lot to talk about. Of course, when the weekend happens, there's more gaming to talk about. There is some news to talk about. What I've been playing. The first thing I want to talk about, and this might be the most interesting, but I'll just get it out of the way. Happens to do with Helldivers 2, Sony requiring that the PSN account be signed into. So, quick timeline: when Helldivers 2 first came out on PC, it did require a PSN account, but it was because they were having network issues. They decided to remove that layer to see if that could help things. Now that the game is running fine, and maybe the rumor of it coming to Xbox, then had Sony require that you sign into a PSN account to play Helldivers 2 on PC. So it's interesting because then the big thing then online that the main takeaway when this is being talked about is it's terrible that they're requiring you to sign into an account. Another account you have to sign into, and to me, that is not an issue. The issue is actually the fact that you can't use a PSN account in I think they said 170 countries or something, which seems like a large number. I don't know my geography, I guess. And that so that means a whole bunch of people won't be able to play it. So that is the problem. Having to sign into an account is not the problem. The fact that people that bought the game then won't be able to play it is the problem. So if you haven't heard, Sony reversed it. Once they heard the outcry, looked into it, they went ahead and reversed it. And it makes sense because, one, I think it's okay to require an account. I mean, GTA 6 is coming out soon. That's going to be the biggest game forever. And it is 100% going to require you to log into a Rockstar account. If you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, same thing there. Ubisoft games. This is already a thing. So I think when people were complaining, it really just had to do with those few minority that just don't like, oh, I have to sign into another account. Then because of the popularity of Helldivers 2, that gets blown up. But then because within the nuance of that, we see that countries are going to get blocked from being able to play, that magnified it even more. And so that's where the issue is. I don't mind having to sign into an account, whoop-de-doo. I understand there's different levels there, one of security, one of getting your data. But when you're blocking people from being able to play a game, that is when you mess. And that is the problem. That is the problem here. I'd hate for it to be focused on, oh, it was an account. We have to sign into another account. That's horrible. See what happens? It's not that. It's the way PSN or Sony has PSN set up right now where you can't log in from different countries. That's the main issue. So cool that, Sony reversed. I mean, so look, it's because of the issues of the countries being blocked that Sony reversed this, because they know they're going to lose out on a whole bunch of money from that. So they had to change it. But that's cool. That's kind of good news. Sony is willing to listen. But this also says something else that I think a lot of people don't realize. Companies make mistakes. Huge companies that have millions of dollars on the line make mistakes. Sony's an example of that. I've personally had to deal with that with Bandai Namco. Sometimes you feel like because you're just the consumer on the other end that maybe you don't know what you're talking about. But no, you get enough people to make it loud enough for a company to hear, and a company will be like, yeah, we made a mistake. So, so that's that. What are we going to get into next? Because there's a lot we could get into, actually. Steven, there's a lot of straw manning going on. Yeah, PC gamers don't mind giving their data to Xbox. Meanwhile, in Latvia, why can't I log into Helldivers? Yeah. Yeah, it's but that brings up the other part, speaking of Xbox, is that the other part of this could be the rumor about Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox could be true. And of course, Sony's going to want to make sure their PlayStation account system is required for Xbox users. And again, I don't mind. If us having more games and more platforms mean we just have to sign into that platform holder's account, so be it. So far, I guess, since I've been gaming, I say at the beginning, over 30 years of experience, I haven't had an issue with accounts. In the biggest issue I've ever had with an account is my Steam account when it got hijacked or whatever, and then I couldn't play my games for a week. That's worse than one game, that I can't like log into. So not too big of a deal there. Let's see. Let's move on to this next part. What should the next part be? Actually, there's actually a lot to talk about, but real quick, I wanted to share what I did this weekend, and look at that, Dragon Ball Z. Why am I playing Dragon Ball Z? I'm not even really into Dragon Ball. What happened was my son was going to have a birthday party this weekend, and he got sick. So we ended up just staying home, and I saw this demo on Xbox for this game, and it was on sale for like $10. And I downloaded it for him to play, and I'm watching him play it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I'm watching the combat system, and I'm like, that is really awesome. I need to play this, and so yeah, got it on PC. I guess since Saturday, I put 3.8 hours in. What really helped was that this runs perfectly on the ROG Ally, so just being able to pick up the ROG Ally, and this game is so fun. It's just like this open world game where you just fight all the time, and you can just play through the game like you're watching the show, do the major battles, see the story play out, and then that's it. But then there's all the side stuff you could do too, and the game doesn't force you to do anything. It's very interesting how fun this game is, how good it looks, and how the combat system works. Like, this is a Bandai Namco joint. I'm a big Gundam mark. This game has a better combat system in terms of modernizing an anime's video game play style. Like, there's a lot of ways the controls work that I'm like, wait a minute, Gundam can use this, because as a Dragon Ball character, you fly, you have superpowers, you shoot projectiles. That's similar to a giant mobile suit. So, yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with this game. I am shocked. I'm going to continue to play it. It's a very easy pick up and play game. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Let's see. Oh, Midnight Hatter, PSN has been breached a few times in the past, too. More account means more ways to end up. Yeah, exactly. I think even December of last year on a completely different YouTube channel, I did a breakdown of all the Sony hacks that happened. I don't know if it was in the last year or last couple of years. I forgot what I framed it as. But yeah, it's constantly happening. And that's the other thing, too. Like, if you're worried about making a new account and it's getting hacked, let me tell you, if you have a cell phone or you bank with a company, your data has already been hacked. All the banks, all the cell phone providers have already had all their data out there on the dark web. It's just an inevitability now. And now it's just really being careful. Yeah. So I would just say, if you're making other accounts, just do a crazy, unique password. Also, happy late birthday. Get well soon, BlueGamer Jr. Yeah, luckily he's fine. It was more of like, we had a party planned at Dave & Buster's, a local arcade, but because he was coughing, even though he wasn't necessarily miserable, he was coughing, and it was like, it's going to be odd and awkward, at a place like that, if he's like coughing and feeling, a little, but he was well enough to play games, so that was good. Yeah, I remember the 2 times it was publicly hacked, they gave out Infamous 1 and 2 respectively. Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Man, I never played Kakarot, but it seems like more of what I want in a DBZ game instead of a fighting game. Yeah, it's exactly it. So, and again, I'm not a big DBZ person. I don't know a lot about it, but to me, this is like the ultimate way to make a video game based on a show. And I guess to relate it to Gundam, like that world map in the Dragon Ball Z game could be Earth in, Universal Century 0079, and then throughout it has like the different areas that you would go and do combat, and that's how this game works. But there's characters you could talk to. It's like that's what Gundam needs in order to kind of set for people. Like, here is the Gundam story. Here's the baseline Gundam story in a very fun and easy to play game. So yeah, that's actually a whole other video. Maybe Steven can help me with that. Let's see. What else did I play? Let's move on to my retro achievements, because I actually spent a lot of time this weekend with Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Assault. And again, what's cool is how this game has retro achievements, and why I like them is because I'll look at an achievement and be like, oh, defeat 20 opponents in a row in survival mode on normal difficulty. Let me try that challenge, and it's just kind of a way to to see different feats within a game that represent what the game is. And for instance, the only ones I've been able to get were whenever I destroy an enemy. Oh, there's a break the opponent's PS armor on free battle mode. Oh, okay. I went around using Calamity special attack. Yeah, the thing that was fun to do was using the special attack to defeat the enemy. And I like that that's anyway, this game's fun. If you go to the Gundam Explained YouTube channel after this, I actually have the video up where I did a review of this game. And again, it's like an old school Game Boy Advance game. It's really hard to do a proper review nowadays just because the Game Boy Advance was a handheld that was kind of limited in functionality, even though not necessarily in its graphics to an extent. It was beautiful games to look at, but you had basic buttons. So a lot of games that were coming out around that time couldn't necessarily be ported. Most games nowadays require 20 buttons. But this game had a well thought out fighting system. It takes from what came earlier and just kind of adding a little bit to it. Again, nothing. No, I would say the only reason I'm playing it is because I'm a Gundam fan. But I would say that if you just like fighting games, this is at that level when it comes to fighting games in general, like on the GBA and stuff like that. It's good. And then some other games I forgot that I guess I jumped into. Rocco's Modern Life on Super Nintendo. I think because I remembered I rented it, and I wanted to see if I remembered it when I tried it out, but I did not. Maui Mallard and Cold Shadow. That was a lot more disappointing. I always wanted to play it. Played it. Pretty disappointing. And I guess I use Quackshot as my base for I guess reviewing or having opinions on duck-based games, because Quackshot is amazing. And then Hagane Final Conflict, the rare game on Super Nintendo. I've played it a lot in the past. I just wanted to jump into it a little bit again. And then the X-Men Wolverine's Rage. Yeah, those. It's very funny. I'm starting to appreciate Game Boy and Game Boy Color more because there are some games that, boy, seeing games made up until 2002. It's like, what can you do with that hardware? And some of it's pretty amazing. Like this Wolverine game, it's kind of annoying to play, but I see what they're doing, and it's kind of unique and interesting. And sometimes the animations, too. It's like, wow, they really pulled off some cool animations. Let's see. Yeah, Gundam Seed Hype. Yeah, I'm seeing the Gundam Seed Freedom movie this week. That's a cool way to do achievements. Encourage players to play the way the devs want it played through the types of achievement. Yeah, that's how I see achievements. I know a lot of people like, oh, I want to, get all my achievements, and sometimes that could be fun depending on the game. Or sometimes achievements, what they're asking you to do doesn't really matter. Like it's like if it's something that happens in the game, but it's not a milestone, like just kill 10 enemies. Like, okay, I got an achievement for that. But if it's like kill the second boss, while that's part of the main game, that is a milestone. And then there's other ones like, beat the last boss without getting hit. That's a neat, it's a milestone plus can you show off what you've learned, Okay, anything else? Did I play anything else? The Dragon Ball Z game, totally fun, huge surprise. And then the Gundam Seed game, if I didn't play... Okay, here's the other one. I did indeed buy Gray Zone Warfare. That's the one you've heard me talk about recently. It had like over 400,000 downloads or play. I forget what it was, the number exactly, but it was just a big game. And it's what it is it's a military FPS, but it's 48 players, and I guess it's like 16 people can be on a team, and it's an open world where you run around, do whatever. There's 1,000 AI NPCs that you could fight to. It's PvE, and it could be PvP. Anyway, checking it out, I could see what they're doing there is pretty cool, but it is super janky. It's almost like, hey, we have an idea, but we're going to just build an asset store-based game to start, and then start filling in the ideas. Because playing it wasn't running well in the middle of one of the matches I was doing, and none of the enemies could see me anymore. And I say match, but open world game I was playing. I asked for a refund because it was $35, and it is early access. And I was like, you know what? For this weekend, I want to use my funds for something else. And luckily, the legendary edition of that Dragon Ball Z game was $30. So that worked out. But yeah, Gray Zone Warfare needs some time to bake. All right, let's jump into some news. I'm actually curious what's going on. And Ghost of Tsushima Studio says the Steam version won't need a PSN account for single player. So that happened. Let me refresh this because there's probably some newer stuff. You know, in the morning, it's always hard to talk in the morning because I feel like I have to clear out my nasal passage, especially like when there's allergies and stuff. But I have this lemon tea. It's very helpful. Okay, so yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. You won't need a PSN for single player, but multiplayer you will. That makes sense. But then that means if I haven't played the Ghost of Tsushima, or actually I did play it, but it's not anything that I would spend my time with. It's cool though. But maybe that's the thing. It's not a big deal. All right, Homelander is in Mortal Kombat 1 DLC. You know, great show. Though I think that last season I just completely forgot about it. Sometimes when shows keep going and then I watch the new season that comes out, I don't know. I loved the show when it first came out, but it's just kind of fallen off. Yeah, PlayStation U-turns after Helldivers 2 Steam Backlash scraps mandatory PSN account linking. Again, my opinion is it's not about the account, it's the fact that 170 countries won't be able to play, and that's a lot of money Sony would be making. We're still learning what is best for PC players. You know, there are people that are willing to tell you and have been willing to tell you for over a decade now. But I gotta admit, Sony is leaning into PC, and they have been for a while. I mean, you play God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, and Neo, which I don't know if that was necessarily a PlayStation exclusive, but eventually came to PlayStation. I mean, they're doing it. So, okay. Let's see. Cheat providers targeting Gray Zone Warfare with shady tactics. Oh, there we go. It's interesting. The game looks good, but then when you look closer, it looks bad. I think it maybe has to do with if it was built in Unreal, which it could have been. They just have good lighting effects on everything, so it looks great. But once you really look in, again, it's early access. They're still working on it. All right. A lot of that PSN account stuff really being talked about. PS5 versus PS4 sales. It's kind of crazy to continue to look at that. Let's see. This is PS5 versus PS4. I don't understand charts. This is much easier to understand right here. Huh. Looking at, I mean, yeah, the PS5 is picking up, but the PS4 is still strong. It's interesting to see in PS3 here. Maybe this is a comparison to that time frame. It doesn't say here. Huh. Very cool. Yeah, it's just interesting. To me, it's the PS4 and PS5 are just different versions of the same thing. I mean, I say that to me, but I mean, to me, most people see the PS4 and PS5. It's like, you want to play this game? Oh, you could play it on PS4 also, mostly. Stellar Blade debuts in third on New Zealand charts. Fallout 4 remains in first. Okay. And what is this? New Zealand charts. Why does that pop up? That's okay. Some more chart toppers here. Mario Kart 8 still popular. I mean, it's a bunch is just the hell. I think that's really all the news is going to be right now, is just this Helldivers thing. Okay, Activision rejected Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 in favor of supplementary Call of Duty work, it is claimed. Interesting. So yeah, they came out with that Tony Hawk 1 and 2, right? So it's interesting because I remember it was either the original Xbox or the 360. I think 360. It came out with a Tony Hawk HD that wasn't backwards compatible, and to me, that was like the definitive way to play it. Then they came out with this 1 and 2, and while that was fun, I didn't really spend that much time with it. And actually, I'm feeling like I kind of want to now because Tony Hawk's fun. Interesting that they would reject 3 and 4 in favor. This is just saying, yes, at the end of the day, Call of Duty is going to make more money than us spending time on Tony Hawk. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Activision studio Vicarious Visions was working on a Donkey Kong game, it's claimed. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see. The title reportedly codenamed Freedom was in development for Nintendo Switch before being eventually scrapped. The game was reportedly a 3D platformer focused on movement, wherein one of the key mechanics would see Donkey Kong grinding on vines. That's cool. Reporting on the game was first... So that's neat. The project was greenlit following the inclusion of Nintendo characters in the Skylanders Superchargers, which impressed Nintendo. However, Robertson was not able to substantiate this part of the report. Following this, Nintendo partnered with Vicarious Visions to work on the project. Shigeru Miyamoto was heavily involved, providing feedback and suggestions for the mechanics. According to Robertson, the game never progressed beyond very early stages and was worked on for around 6 months. However, the project ultimately faltered. Okay, the game was scrapped in 2016. That's quite a while back. So that is pretty neat, because Nintendo has a history of working with other developers, to come up with games. And I think that's neat that Nintendo does that. Too bad this didn't work out. I like Vicarious Visions. It's too bad that they're now more of a COD studio. But another 3D platformer Donkey Kong, I think, needs to be made, right? The movie has made Donkey Kong more popular. All right, let's see. Just some more. Space Marine 2. Here we go. Just an art book revealing crucial details. I just can't wait to play this. September 9th. Oh my gosh. Which countries is PlayStation Network available? All 70 countries that have PSN. So this interesting, just to kind of see a map, I guess. Red is where you could play. It's weird that they went with that. I would think they would go with blue is where you could play. Red would be where you couldn't play. I don't know. That's very interesting. That's a lot. But those restrictions probably have to do a lot of different things. Probably policy on the end of the corporate structure of Sony, and then maybe security and so. Okay, that's crazy, because then here's a map. Here's blue of all the countries unable to make a PSN account. This is backwards. I mean, marketing 101, or if you're presenting something to someone, you have to use colors that invoke what it's supposed to invoke. It's kind of silly. It's not only is it silly, but it's like 2 separate posts a minute apart by the same person. I don't know. It's not what this is about, but that's just kind of funny. Let's go into chat real quick. Autonomous. Let's see. Neo, I believe, was an exclusive at launch. Yeah, it was. That's the thing. That's a game I would have bought on PC, but at the time it was only PlayStation. So, got sent to the COD mines. Yeah, so just 9% of Africa wouldn't be able to play Helldivers 2. So largely Africa and Middle East would be left out. They used red and larger area to make it seem worse. It's a classic marketing tactic to drive FUD. Yeah, I guess there's that too. It could be they're trying to get their point across. That's why they use those colors. That's pretty interesting. I might need to start kind of looking for some more interesting news outlets. And I wonder if it's a matter of sources instead of what's being regurgitated, because then I'm just seeing a lot of the same thing. And I have multiple websites. I'm just scrolling down, and it's either, here's the sales, here's Helldivers 2. New Tomb Raider game to be open world, it's claimed. That's cool. I mean, the other ones were kind of anyway. Like, open world only makes sense in, I guess, what the story's being told. And sometimes that could be limiting if you want different environments. I mean, it could be like if she has to, they would have to make a big open world. I don't know. The way they did it in the last 3 games was pretty good. I didn't play the third of the last 3, but it was like open zone, the kind of thing I like, where you have like this area where you can kind of explore and do things. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is the only DLC the game will get, but a sequel isn't ruled out. Crazy, though, that this DLC comes like a year and a half after the game came out. That's just how baller they know they are with this game. It's just crazy. Research firm reveals the top grossing PC and console games of first quarter of 2024. Fortnite EA Sports FC, Helldivers 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, NBA 2K4, NFL 24, Dragon's Dogma 2, Power World, Valorant, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Crazy that Rainbow Six is on there. I played a little bit of it. It wasn't anything crazy, but maybe I need to go back. But some of the stuff on here, Fortnite, sports games, it's cool to see Dragon's Dogma 2 on here. Out of all these games, like, I love Helldivers 2, but Dragon's Dogma 2 is so good. So what is this? Is this a mix of not many releases? Because I look at this and I'm seeing releases since January. I guess it makes sense, though. This is the first quarter, but still. Sometimes there would be bigger games on here, or you wouldn't see something like Valorant or Rainbow Six Siege on here. Pal World makes sense, and that's at 8. You know? I think we kind of got a slow year already. Let's see. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. So this is that Xbox game that's coming out this month. It's supposed to be like their main flagship game. Hopefully it works out for them. All PCs will require 70 gigabytes of SSD space, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 64-bit Windows 10, 11. That's not bad, actually. Require an Intel i5 or Ryzen 5, GTX 1070. That's not too bad. Interesting. 1070. I had a 1070 Ti. I know. I still have it, but how early did I get that in like 2016 or something? I forget, but that's pretty cool. I don't know what I'm getting at. Just I like that you can have old hardware and still be able to play modern games. I think that's really it for the news. A lot of it is really just going back and forth with the Helldivers stuff. It's cool that got resolved. I think it got resolved in the best way, where Sony's like, yeah, we're not going to require it in this instance. That's just how big this game is. And so it's good that they're doing that. Although, at the end of the day, I don't think a PSN account is bad. That's just, the future, protecting IP. There's security involved with that too. There's a lot. It's security and wanting to get our data. So, well, that just about does it, guys. Thanks for all that joined in the chat. Chat was lively. It was really cool. I do want to pick up Little Kitty Big City on Switch, if only for my wife to play. I'm just interested to see if that's a true cat game. But you did say I need to go back to Stray, so maybe I'll do that too. Let us know how that is. But yeah, guys, thanks for joining the chat. Thanks for everyone that watched. Hope you have a good rest of the day, and we will talk later.